Hello and welcome to the video. So, why should you even bother becoming a data scientist today? So, I've been a data scientist for the last 7-ish years professionally and then 2 years of grad school before that. So, hopefully I should know a little bit about why you should bother becoming a data scientist if you want to. And I mean, that even opens the question, like the field of data science is very vague now with AI becoming so apparent everywhere. Like what is data science is super gray. I think in the past, before all the AI craze, I had a little bit more of a black and white, like what is data science? But the way I like to think about data science is you're just using like math and logic, usually leveraging code to help kind of solve relatively complex problems. So I think that's what data science is. And then why should you become a data scientist? I mean, like on the top level, for quick points, if you look online, you'll see that data scientists on average tend to get paid pretty well, so that is one thing. However, I would really highly not recommend getting into data science just for the money itself, but because the field is so saturated today that if you don't actually like what you're doing, you have such a small chance of making it through, because there are people who are motivated by the money, but they also like what they are doing with their skills in data science. So like they like actually doing data science. And I believe somebody who likes what they're doing will 100% of the time beat somebody who's doing it just for the money. So I don't think you should get into a career in data science just for the money, but I do think you should get into data science if you like math. So a lot of the times you're using math to help solve complex business problems. And a lot of the underlying algorithms that use data science, and like when I mean an algorithm, I mean you actually need to kind of understand how the algorithm has worked. You can't just be calling a function from a library in Python and calling that data science. Like that gets back into the whole data science is really vague nowadays. But I think for a data scientist to be really good, you need to understand the mathematical concepts and the logic underlying all the algorithms that you're, not all, but most of the algorithms you're working with, fully understand what you're doing. And so that'd be a lot of like linear algebra, a lot of calculus. And a lot of folks go through school thinking like, I'll never actually use this stuff, like linear algebra and calculus. And like you don't necessarily use it just for doing, equations, but you use these concepts as these concepts are baked into kind of the fundamentals of the algorithms that are really common in data science. So like neural networks really need to understand gradient descent well. So if you gradient descent, which is like derivatives of calculus downstream, which is just like derivatives of concepts in calculus, linear algebra, and everything that falls downstream. So like if you like mathematics and you like using logic and like you like kind of hard mathematics, you might like data science. I think that's a very natural pathway between doing math and then getting involved in data science, because like the best data scientists will be the ones who fully understand the algorithms that you're working with, which frankly today is not always true. Like because data science has become so popular, you get a lot of people who don't really understand the math behind the algorithms getting involved, and that can lead to some bad outcomes. Like that can lead to putting models into production that give you bad data. That can lead you to pulling the trigger too fast on saying, okay, this model looks great. When I mean model, I mean like predictive model. Like you're predicting something using some libraries you called in Python, and you can say, oh, this output looks great, but it may actually be shit because you don't understand the parameters that were needed to be configured to use the out-of-the-box library in Python to call a function. So overall, I think if you like mathematics, like if you like linear algebra, if you like calculus, you may very well, and statistics. Statistics is super important in data science, but we'll get into that in a different video. If you like mathematics, you might really like data science, and I'd recommend you to, pursue a career in data science. Okay. Number 2, overall, like let's just look at the data. Data science is a growing field. Now, what I mean by that is like the overall field of working with data is a growing field. Pure data science itself it can mean a lot of things. But as we talked about earlier, I think data science is really just using math, logic, data, and leveraging coding, programming to solve complex problems. And so the demand in the economy right now to solve complex problems using data is only growing. Data is growing, data science is growing. There's a lot of data, there's a lot of statistics that points to there being a higher demand for companies to understand how to make the most out of their data, to understand where there's room for them to optimize and squeeze a little bit more profit out by, leveraging customer data or leveraging product data to identify, gaps in whatever market they're working with that they could close and make some more money. And so I think, there is back 5 years ago, people were saying that data is the new oil. And I think to a degree it is. I mean, it's not like there's definitely a lot of disconnects between the two, but using data and using logic to solve complex problems is only going to continue going up, especially as we get into, like, this AI world, where that's another thing. We'll get into it. Somebody needs to control the AI algorithms. And the people who are going to do that are most likely going to be AI scientists, which kind of fit under the whole umbrella of data science, because data science is so vague. It just kind of captures everything in the data sphere. I think you should become a data scientist if you like math, and I think the demand for data is only going to continue to grow, and the demand for data jobs will only continue to grow because of that too. And so it is a growing career field to get into. Like, some fields are saturated. Think like computer science or maybe software engineering as a whole is getting a little bit saturated. And I think that is starting to happen mainly to data jobs, mainly for data analytics. But I think data scientists, because you gotta go the next layer deeper to understand problems, will still have a growing demand in the future going forward to answer problems with data and to control and leverage and understand the AI algorithms, like machine learning, AI. Like, now each of those fields are becoming their own niche. Historically, they were just kind of under the umbrella of data science like 5 years ago. So now these fields are becoming more independent and can get careers just in those fields themselves now. But like 5-10 years ago, they were under the field of data science. And if we're talking about data science as like that overall encompassing, for answering hard questions with data and math and understanding AI and how AI is being used in business products, will only go up as AI and machine learning are getting so popular now. So it's a growing field. It's good to get into a growing field, and data science, from my perspective and all these perspectives, is very much a growing field. And, I guess my third point is, like, as it is a growing field, it gives you the opportunity, if you want to explore a lot of different industry niches. Like, for example, nurses. You can only kind of work in the nursing field. You can't really work at an e-com company as a nurse. Like, the connection just isn't there. But this is not the case for data and data scientists. So, as we just mentioned in the last point, pretty much all companies today are trying to answer very tough questions using data. And because of that, that means that if you are wanting to become a data scientist, you can find a role for yourself, usually in a very wide range of industries. Petroleum engineers are kind of segmented just to the gas and natural oil industry, or whatever you want to call that. But data scientists can work in research, they can work in e-commerce, they can work in finance, they can work in operations, logistics, medical devices. Pretty much every industry has a need for understanding how to take the data that they have and find ways to optimize their business using that data. And because of that, data scientists can kind of change like industries pretty more quickly than other jobs can. Like, if you like data science, but you don't really know what industry to get into, that's okay. Because you can kind of go from one industry to the next, to the next, to the next. And like, sure, you have to learn every time you switch industries, you kind of have to like learn the ropes again. But it's possible to do so. It's a lot more possible to do so than like a petroleum engineer or a nurse. So if you don't really know what industry you want to get into and you like, math and logic, data science might be a good career for you because you can go into so many different industries. And then I guess, going on about the benefits of being in data, being a data scientist today, is that let's just call a spade a spade. The jobs in data science tend to pay pretty well. Like, most data science jobs will probably pay over $100,000 up to $200,000 plus. At the top tech companies, I think Meta, Google, Netflix, all those jazz. Data scientists are probably making like $400,000 to $500,000 like total TC, if not more packages, and that's not super uncommon. But the caveat is those jobs are super hard to get. However, on average, your data science job is probably going to pay a lot more than your average job in America. So I'm not saying you should get into it for the money, as we all prefaced. However, if you like math, if you're good at math, if you like programming and you're good at using logic to solve problems, and you're looking for a high-paying career, data science kind of offers you that as well, if you are good at the key fundamentals of becoming a data scientist. I mean, like, yeah, money is quite nice. You kind of need money. Let's be honest. The economy is not that great right now. Like, salaries haven't really been going up. So if you can get into data science, you can kind of solve one of your money problems by doing that. So that's always a good thing. Competition. Let's talk about this. Like, because data science and AI and machine learning has become so popular now, the competition to become a data scientist has gone up. It's kind of like back 20 years ago, if you knew a little bit of code, you could become a software engineer. But now the barrier for entry to become a software engineer is higher because everyone saw how good software engineering jobs were paying, so they tried to become software engineers. So basically, when you have more people trying to become, a given title, and there's only a certain number of jobs available, it's going to make it more competitive to become a software engineer, and that is kind of happening now. But overall, that competition that we saw in software engineering about 10, 15 years ago is happening now in data science, because people found out that, hey, data science jobs pay well, and so why not become a data scientist? The good thing though, if you want to become a data scientist and you're in it for the right reasons, i.e. you're in it because you love math, you love logic, you love programming, you love answering hard problems using data, then you're already ahead of like 80% of the people trying to become a data scientist. Now, I'm not trying to gate block anyone for becoming a data scientist. Try it out. Try becoming a data scientist if you want. I think it's a great thing to try. It's a great, very fulfilling career. Like a lot of the problems I'm doing are very interesting. Keeps me really motivated and stimulated because I'm working on interesting problems. I'm not just filling out Excel spreadsheets, which frankly, I hate that. If I was just filling out Excel spreadsheets every day, for me, that's just something that would make me hate my job. But before we move on to the next point, which is, let me just summarize by saying that data science jobs pay well. However, the competition for getting one is going up. So if you're in data science for the right reasons, i.e. you actually like the math and the logic and the coding, you're already ahead of more than 80% of the folks trying to be in the field.